Hello everyone, I'm your host Janine Lassant. We are back here at the Laurel Mall. We are at Ambrose Hearing, and this is called Ask the Audiologist. This is our new show here on SSP TV. We've got great reviews, and we are educating you about your hearing, keeping your health intact, right?
Correct,
Shea?
yes.
Shea DeNoia, the owner here and the audiologist. So this is our second show. You're getting used to being on TV, right?
Well, sort of,
People are recognizing you.
They are. It's been going really well.
It's good. So to refresh everyone's memory, you originally started in the Pottsville location.
Yes.
That location, Ambrose Hearing, is still open.
It is, correct.
So you have office hours in Pottsville and you have office hours in the Laurel Mall location. That's where we're taping.
Yeah, I float between the two, and it's by appointment only at each. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's been working well.
Yeah, so today we're going to learn a lot about how you actually look at the audiogram, right?
Correct.
And later in the show, we will talk about those over-the-counter hearing pieces that might not be the best fit for you, how they can be damaging your hearing.
Yeah, there's different precautions you have to take when you want to pursue that option. So we'll cover all of that, and we'll get into the pros and the cons, because there are some people who really could benefit from them, but you have to be careful.
All right, so what is an audiogram, first of all?
So an audiogram is the hearing test. It's what I do. You'll see me writing down a bunch of stuff when I'm actually testing your hearing. So we go from the low frequencies, think of like a man's voice, a deep bassy voice, all the way up into those high frequency tones. And that's more of like where our voices fall. And think of children too, like a squeakier voice, maybe like the birds chirping. And then on the other axis, we go to how loud we have to turn it up. So we'll go all the way from, there's the normal hearing, and then you go into the different types of hearing loss. So mild, moderate, severe, profound. So with the over-the-counters, I'll touch on this briefly. They hammer home that you need a mild to moderate hearing loss. So I'm going to actually provide an example of that, because a lot of people think, oh, that's a big range of hearing, but really it's not. And then what we do with that is we'll put it into the computer and establish your prescription. So the prescription will be the targets that we want to get your hearing back up to. So we're trying to bring your hearing loss into a normal range, so you're able to hear again, communicate, and we focus primarily on those speech frequencies.
So how do you know if someone's having trouble with the test? Either it's an older person, how do you know if they're not understanding the direction of listening, or if it actually is something where they can't hear the sound that you're providing in their ear?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's all different variables that go into testing, and just from experience and like what I learned in school, there's different accommodations that we can make. So say someone just can't press the clicker, we can just simply have them raise their hand, or if that's too much, just a simple yes, I heard it, or no. Sometimes I have people who have tinnitus. So tinnitus is the ringing in the ears. And they say, oh, I can't differentiate between if it was my tinnitus or the beep you're playing. So only I know if I'm playing a beep. So if they give, a little flinch or their eyes flicker, then I know that was a true response. Even if they're not verbalizing it to me, I can watch for facial expressions, movements, anything that indicates, yeah, I heard something.
All right, so now on the screen, let's talk about the audiogram.
So on the top would be the frequencies I was saying. So like the 125, 250 are the lows, and then the 4, 6, and 8 are the highs. On this one, I do actually have it marked what normal hearing would look like.
Okay.
So you're going to see here that I have the X's are the left ear, the circles are your right ear. You can see it follows a really similar pattern, and that's good. So you wouldn't want to have your ears aging differently. And that's where we get into what's called an asymmetric hearing loss. I do want to touch on that in a little bit too, but right now we're just focusing on normal hearing. So any single marking above this yellow highlighted line is normal hearing.
Okay.
And that's for an adult.
So can you have, well, I guess you can have hearing loss in one ear over the other. Is that environmental, or can that be hereditary?
It could be environmental, but a lot of like the factory workers or people who are exposed to loud sounds think like like workers
Machines,
who,
loud
yeah,
machinery.
lawn care, snow care, things like that, they are exposing both ears to the sound if they don't wear hearing protection. So it's very, very rare that you're going to see one side be extremely impacted instead of the other. Now, I will say with people who shoot and, might put the gun right next to them and they have more of a blast or an impact like that, you can see them do a lot of damage to just the one side.
Wow.
So
I even know when I dry my hair, since I got the Apple Watch, it'll tell me loud noise.
Yeah.
And you don't think of a hair dryer
you don't
being that loud, but it can be loud if you have it on high and it's near
That's
both
correct,
of your
and
ears.
it's right next to your ear. I think the Apple Watches do like 85 decibels is where they start their warning.
Okay.
So that's somewhere down in here. But you can see it's so far down the scale
Wow.
that it is actually very loud.
Oh, okay.
So continual use day after day could start to affect your hearing. The other interesting part that I've seen too is like, say, truck drivers who are constantly on the road and they drive with the window down, they might see that left ear start to decrease a little bit. So I've seen that a couple of times and it's like, do you drive or
It's
what do you
interesting
do?
how sensitive our ears are.
Yeah, they're very, very sensitive because you have the hair cells in the cochlea, which is the hearing mechanism in the inner ear, and it's just small cells. And once they're sheared down, there's not much you can do to regenerate them.
Interesting stuff here on SSP TV, Ask the Audiologist. Incidentally, we have questions from you coming in that we're going to hit on later in the program, but when we come back, these over-the-counter hearing aids, are they good? Are they helping your hearing? Are they hindering your hearing? We'll find out. Stay with us. Hey everyone, welcome back. You're watching SSP TV, whether it be locally on cable or on YouTube or our website. We thank you for watching us. We are here at Ambrose Hearing and we are learning about the do's and don'ts of taking care of your ears, keeping your hearing as long as possible. And Shea is talking to us now about these over-the-counter hearing aids. We want to talk about that because you have a degree and went to school for what, 8 years?
8 years,
8
yes.
years to be doing this. So, it's not something where you can just go on the computer and it's going to give you this correct answer. This is something you really have to be trained, and that's why it's a doctor of hearing.
Correct.
To be an audiologist. So explain to us how these over-the-counter hearing aids work and who's a fit or who isn't.
Over-the-counter hearing aids are for adults only, 18 years and up, for individuals with a mild to moderate hearing loss. That's the category that the FDA decided. They've been going back and forth for quite a few years to try to determine what would be the best way to get more access to hearing aids. So their concern was hearing aids are expensive and they want to provide access to everybody. So they came up with this format. Now the format is you do everything yourself. There's no help involved. It's just you go to a big brand store and you pick out the box that you want and you go home and you take your cell phone or your laptop and you do the hearing test yourself.
You're the audiologist.
Correct.
Pretty much.
You are your own audiologist. You are on your own. You're going to play the beeps for yourself. You're going to program them yourself, and you're going to pick your domes, filters, wax, anything you need.
That sounds pretty easy.
You're going to just try it out. So you can see here where I shaded in is actually a mild to moderate hearing loss. So they're saying that every, X and O should fall on this chart right here. Okay. So really, when you look at it on a whole audiogram, it's not that much of a hearing loss. So typically a mild to moderate hearing loss could be something you don't even know you have. It's so slow and gradual how one loses their hearing that you might not even know you have a mild to moderate hearing loss. By the time most people come into my office, they have passed that. So they're not even a candidate anymore for that mild to moderate loss. Examples of a mild to moderate loss where you might start noticing I'm asking for repetitions. I can hear somebody talking, but I have no clue what they're saying. Things sound a little muffled. The TV's a little louder. There are signs that you might, notice something going wrong. As far as the audiogram goes, though, there are some other precautions that you want to take so that you aren't fitting a hearing aid to something that's more of a medical issue. Mm-hmm. So the FDA did come out with a set of guidelines that are really things that rule you out from an over-the-counter hearing loss. And the list is quite extensive. So I'm just going to briefly touch on some of these. So the first thing that would disqualify you from fitting yourself with an over-the-counter hearing aid would be tinnitus. So tinnitus is ringing, banging, buzzing, any kind of sound in your ear that isn't happening from the external environment. And honestly, with any type of high frequency hearing loss, tinnitus could be one of the first things that happen. And that's an indication that there's something wrong that needs to be evaluated. So an audiologist can evaluate that, an ear, nose, and throat doctor, so like an ENT or a primary care doctor. The next one is what you were talking about, the asymmetrical hearing loss. So an asymmetrical hearing loss is not typical. It's not something that happens through aging. So you can see here the X's, that's your left ear, that has a normal hearing. And then your right ear turns into the triangles, that has a more mild to severe hearing loss. Not the same.
Asymmetrical.
That's what's called asymmetrical.
So if you have the asymmetrical, this is another reason why you wouldn't want the over-the-counter.
Correct, because this is something that I would even refer you out to an ear, nose, and throat doctor so they can really check for any kind of pathologies or anything going wrong in more of the middle and inner ear. That's something that I can't look past in the office. So I would definitely be referring you out to the ENT as a red flag, just make sure everything's okay, and then you can come back and get a hearing aid. You would only need one for that right ear. Also on the audiogram, what I would use is the speech scores. You don't have those capabilities when you're doing it at home. Nobody's going to sit there and say, Janine, dog, cat, can you hear me okay? What's that decibel level? So could you imagine?
No, yeah. I think just the whole thing sounds confusing, not having an 8-year degree in what you've gone to school for and the schooling. I don't even know how someone could actually get this over the counter unless it was just something they bought quick and were coming to see an audiologist at some point. Maybe they couldn't get in for 8 months, which isn't the case here, but maybe it was something that was just kind of like a Band-Aid approach until they came to the audiologist.
Correct. And that is the nice thing too. So we have pretty easy access to healthcare around here.
Sure.
The turnaround time to get an appointment with me is just a couple weeks, if that. But this was more for like cities or rural areas where, the wait list might be really long, or they just can't get public transportation to a doctor. So yes, they are using it, like you say, more of a Band-Aid approach, try it and see. But honestly, the other downside is these aren't just a couple $100s. They could be up to $1,000+ for an over-the-counter hearing aid with no help. And the other thing that I haven't been thrilled about is there's no regulations for trial periods, for warranties, for repairs. There's no guidelines. So
certainly
you're
an
kind
expensive
of on
Band-Aid approach.
Yes. So you have to weigh your pros and cons. But if that is the approach you went and you want to bring the over-the-counter hearing aids into me, I can't really say I can fit them for you because the software just isn't really available for me. But I could certainly look at them, make sure you're not doing harm, you're not putting something in your ear that's too big, that's going to scratch it or cause any more problems. So I have no problem looking over them for you, even giving them a cleaning and helping you out. But it's definitely something that I would want to make sure that I had eyes on the situation and maybe make some recommendations for you.
Yeah, to make sure, like you're saying, you're not masking an underlying health condition.
Correct, and that's the scary part that no one really talks about. So they do write these down, but they're not saying, on the box or even in the store, like, here's our red flag conditions. So that was only 2 of them.
Wow.
So we're still going on. The next one is another thing that you should not take lightly, and that's vertigo. So vertigo is where the room spins, you feel off balance, you're sick. You need help, you need to go to a doctor. So if that's happening more regularly, it can also be a condition called BPPV, and that's where the crystals in your inner ear actually come dislodged. Now there are maneuvers that I know, and physical therapists, ENTs, they can all make sure that the crystals go back to where they need to go and that vertigo stops.
You can actually damage your ear then, right?
Well, you can cause more problems. It's not something you want to take lightly. You don't want, just health in general.
I've learned so much about vertigo by doing the Sacco show with Dr. Sacco because he's helped so many people. I didn't realize how many people suffer from vertigo and how crazy it actually makes you. You can't even lift your head at some point.
No, and can't get out of bed, and you can just a whole complex of problems can come from it. So yes, Dr. Sacco is able to do the maneuvers that I'm talking about because they're trained in manipulation and everything. So
also,
another great option.
You have connections as all the doctors in the area work together. So if you
Yeah.
have to refer out, you know who to send them to.
Correct.
As far as what condition that they
Yeah,
have.
and Dr. Sacco is a great resource to have in our area, and I can work with him if there is somebody with vertigo.
Gotcha. The list goes on. So we have draining of the ear, if that was an issue, and
Correct.
sudden loss of hearing.
Yeah, so sudden hearing loss, like you wake up one morning and your hearing is very decreased. That's definitely something that we would need to, evaluate before you just say, I'm just going to run to Walmart or a big brand store and get a hearing aid.
Yes, and then pain in your ears.
Yeah, so if there's pain, it could be, again, a sign of infection, fluid, just something that maybe you don't even need a hearing aid. You just need that fluid to drain. So they could give you over-the-counter medicines or prescription nasal sprays or decongestants to help.
Right. So, okay, the difference then, you have prescription level hearing aids sold by audiologists and the fitting. So the difference between going to you versus going over the counter, we're going to take a short break and talk about that. It's Ask the Audiologist here on SSP TV. When we come back, we'll be hitting on the differences of seeing an audiologist versus buying those over the counter hearing aids. Plus, we will answer some of the questions that you guys got to us. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone, to Ask the Audiologist. I'm your host, Janine Lassant. We're here with Dr. Shea DeNoia talking about over-the-counter hearing aids, the differences, and why you should be seeing an audiologist instead of trying to see where your hearing is and buying your own hearing aids, because it can also be masking an underlying health condition. So let's talk about that. These are the over-the-counter.
Correct. These are the over-the-counters. These are the prescription hearing aids. So these are more of an earbud that you'll put in your ear, but you're going to do all the fitting yourself. You're going to test your hearing like we talked about. You're going to go ahead and put the app on your phone and put your settings in yourself.
You are the audiologist.
You are your own audiologist, yes.
So look at these.
Quite the difference.
I have, and I'm sure because these are custom, I have very small ears.
Yes.
So I know even when I wear earbuds to listen to music, they fall out and they're uncomfortable.
You can even try one of these. This is your right ear. So you'll just put it in kind of like an earbud. Yep. You'll put it in just like that.
I don't even know if they'd stay in my ear.
Yeah, that's the risk you take with these. So they do make some like this over the counter. So that's one style. Nope,
not for me.
So I'll demonstrate it on my ear. So these are the earbud size that I picked when I got them out of the box.
Are they like small, medium, large?
Yeah, so 3 different options, and they kind of look.
Are they those medium?
That's it. These are mediums. Okay. But some people have 2 different hearing losses or need 2 different domes, like you're saying, to fit. So you pick your own, and then you just put them in like that.
All right, well, let's talk about
So this is something that I'd fit, the rechargeables, and these are the over-the-ear options.
They're the custom
These
ones.
are the ones.
Again, I have really small ears, so let's see if
So I'm going to actually do your other side.
Yep.
Put it here, and then we would, so the part that I'm putting in is the dome.
Okay.
And then just work it in there.
Okay.
So that's how it fits.
And
You can't even see it on your, that's it.
How about that?
That's in. So these are the rechargeable options. Oop, it fell over, but that's okay. We would probably have to shorten up your wire, so you see how it's sticking out a little bit. We want it more flush to your ear. So I have a whole case of wires, domes, tips, anything that we need. I would set that up. But for demonstrations purpose right now, that's what it looks like compared to something like this that I had in before, where it just slips in and that's what you're working with. So a very big difference.
Yeah, huge difference. So again, we can get into more of your specifics on the next show, but let's get to some of these questions.
Yeah,
if that's okay.
The questions that you guys have sent in.
I am interested in getting hearing aids, but I am nervous about taking care of them. What is the required care and maintenance, and will they stay in my ears?
Sure. So yeah, the person who called in wants to know about maintenance. So I'll use one of these and show you. I also have some domes here. I want to show you all my little pieces. I got it ready for you. So yeah, we'll put them on here. So what I was talking about before is all the different customizable options that I have. So I'm just going to do a brief overview of the parts of the hearing aid because I think it'll make more sense that way. So starting here, this is what you call the body of the aid. All customizable colors, shapes, sizes, they all vary a little bit. There's different slots in here. That's the microphone. So the external sound is going to go into the body of the hearing aid and then work its way down to your speaker. The speaker, again, we have different levels of power depending on that audiogram. That's why the audiogram is so important. Everything is based off of that. So if you don't have a correct audiogram, you're not going to have the correct sounds and the prescription that you need. So as it works its way down, to hold it in the ear is going to be the dome, and then this is called a sports lock or a retention wire. Just a little bit added security for someone who, like in the question, is afraid that it's going to fall out of the ear. A lot of people are also concerned about wearing glasses. Don't worry about that. I have a lot of people who wear eyeglasses and hearing aids, even hats too. There's no problems with them. Okay. So then to clean them, the most important parts that you're going to clean are this dome that's in your ear every day and then the microphones. The dome, you're just going to take a brush and you're going to brush it. And it looks like, oh my gosh, I'm going to break it. You know, it's so tiny. They're very sturdy. They've been remade so many times that the manufacturers know what works and what doesn't. Okay. And anything that you would say, if this fell off, we can fix it. And that's why I'm always here. It's nice to have someone to call and say, hey, this happened. A lot of times I can just walk you through it on the phone too, and everything's fine. So you'd brush this, and then you would brush just the body where the microphones are.
Very good, and you could go over with them, and like you said, you're very accessible, so you're running the show here with answering the phones and by appointment only, so it's good because they're getting you. So you're not going to hear an answer machine say press 2 for Shea, press 3 to leave a message, press
never hear
4 for this and that. So you're here, and I know there's a lot more we can talk about, but we are running out of time. If you have any questions, send them in to us. Here at SSP TV. You can do that through Facebook. You can do it on our website.
Yes.
You can even call the office.
You can call the office as well.
Very good. Well, thanks for having me again.
Thank you for coming.
Learning a lot here on Ask the Audiologist. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time right here on SSP TV.